is Allison. I'm the Programs, Outreach, and Youth Services Manager here at Monterey County Free Libraries. Thank you for joining me for another special Halloween episode of Book Chat Kids. Today I am going to be sharing two titles by the same author. The first is Small Spaces, and both of these are by Katherine Arden. Small Spaces, and then the sequel, Dead Voices. These are both excellent. I've heard that they are going to be a 4-book series. So this book takes place in the fall. This one takes place in the winter. And I read somewhere that there was going to be a 3rd book that takes place in the spring and a 4th book that takes place in the summer, which I think is a really cool concept. So like I said, Small Spaces came first. I'm going to read you the summary. When 11-year-old Ollie finds a disheveled, weeping woman by the river threatening to throw a book into the water, she doesn't think, she just acts, plucking the book from the woman's hands and running away with it. As Ollie begins to read, she finds herself entranced by a creepy tale, Small Spaces. Set on a farm hundreds of years earlier, it's about a girl, the 2 boys who loved her, and a peculiar deal struck with the Smiling Man, a sinister specter who grants your most tightly held wish, but only for the ultimate price. Ollie is still reading the next day on a school trip to a local farm with a haunting history. There, Ollie discovers not only that the farm is run by the woman whose book she stole, but also the graves of the very people she'd been reading about. More alarming is what happens on the way home. The school bus breaks down, forcing Ollie's teacher to return to the farm for help, leaving his students alone with the oddest bus driver Ollie has ever met. The driver warns Ollie's class that someone or something will soon come for them. It's at this moment Ollie receives a chilling message on her digital wristwatch, which has been broken for months. The watch suddenly spells out "Run." As night descends and scarecrows in the surrounding fields seem to crowd close, watching them, Ollie thinks the watch might be right. Joined by only 2 of her classmates, Ollie takes to the woods with one last word of advice from the bus driver ringing in her ears. Avoid large places at night. Keep to small. And with that, a deliciously creepy and spine-tingling adventure begins. And so, as it said, Ollie and her 2 friends escape from this bus, just as the mysterious forces that you will discover if you read this book descend upon the bus and her classmates. So I'm going to read a little portion from Small Spaces, and this is when the main action of the book starts to take place. Something changed in the quality of the noise on the bus. Ollie looked up from her book frowning. The shouting had dropped, and even the monotonous urging from Mr. Easton to sit down, please, and be quiet seemed different, distracted, puzzled. Ollie looked out the window, peering around Brian. A heavy fog had descended on the road, the black tops of trees poking up like drowning fingers. The left side of the road was forest. On the right, the cornfield stretched out, guarded by scowling scarecrows. The mist was so dense that it threw the headlights back into their eyes. The bus was rolling along at a crawl. Ollie's hands tightened involuntarily on her book. There were mutters all around, nervous giggling. So weird. Look at that fog. I have to pee. The bus was crawling, slower and slower. The mist thickened. Ollie didn't recognize where they were. She didn't even know how long they'd been driving. She stared out the window. When the mist rises. But the year wasn't turning. Also, her book was just a story. They drifted to a halt. The bus coughed and died. For a moment, total silence. Then a burst of noise. I think the bus broke down. I want to go home. We're lost, yelled Mike Campbell. Even though that was stupid, how could they be lost? Ollie was still staring out the window. The yellow autumn trees had turned black and spindly, as though winter had come in the last 3 minutes. The broad, smooth country road had become an old, cracked ribbon, running away and vanishing into the trees, still lapped in the mist. Where were they? Slowly, the bus driver stood up. The shouting died away. The driver turned around. He seemed to have gotten both taller and wider. Well, said the driver, surveying them, best get moving. At nightfall, they'll come for the rest of you. Then he smiled, tongue flicking red. against his teeth. This book could be read as a standalone. When I first read it, I didn't realize that it was going to be a series, and it wraps up all within the one book, so you can just read this book. But if you are intrigued by Ollie and the adventures of her and her two friends, and by the villain, the Smiling Man, then you're definitely going to want to check out Dead Voices. I have to be honest, I thought Dead Voices was better than Small Spaces, and I really loved Small Spaces, but Dead Voices for me was just excellent. I love winter, and this book really made me feel very wintry and cozy, only to be, spooked out by the Smiling Man reappearing to come and terrorize Ollie and her friends some more. So I'm going to read you the summary of this one. Ollie, Brian, and Coco, who are her two friends from the first book, have had their fill of frightening experiences. After their narrow escape from the Smiling Man and his sinister scarecrows during their class field trip last fall, they are ready for some fun. Skiing at Mount Hemlock sounds promising, but their enthusiasm quickly dims as a snowstorm traps them at the lodge with only their parents and Mr. Voland, a mysterious ghost hunter, for company. Strange things start happening. Coco is seeing shadowy figures. Ollie is having nightmares about frostbitten girls, and Brian is positive that the stuffed bear in the lobby was on its hind legs when they arrived, not on all fours. Their fun-filled trip is quickly turning into another terrifying encounter with another dimension. There are ghosts at Mount Hemlock, and their voices are demanding to be heard, but the price of listening may be too high. In this haunting follow-up to Small Spaces, Ollie, Coco, and Brian must rely on their friendship and sharp minds if they want to survive their next harrowing adventure. And so, like I said, I loved Dead Voices so much. I loved the setting. It's Ollie, Coco, and Brian, and they're adults, all isolated at this ski lodge. So it feels very creepy and isolated. Something's going to happen, but it's kind of a slow burn leading up to a very cool twist that I didn't see coming. And I read a lot of scary books, so I'm usually pretty good at predicting twists, but this one got me. It's hard to read a section of Dead Voices without giving away some major spoilers, both to its plot and to the first book. So I did pick a very small section to read. What you discover in the first book, and this isn't a big spoiler, it's in the summary of the first book, is that Ollie's wristwatch displays messages to her and her friends, kind of warning them of some action. But at the end of the first book, when things get wrapped up, her watch displays one word: love. So I'm going to read a very small snippet that starts kind of some of the ominous tone for the second book. More than anything, Ollie wanted to talk to her own mom. She wondered if Mr. Voland knew how. She hoped he did. She was going to help him explore the lodge, talk to him, and when the time was right, she was going to ask him, casually, about how you talk to ghosts. At that moment, Ollie's watch beeped. She froze. Ollie's watch hadn't changed or made a sound since those dangerous days when Ollie and her friends escaped the corn maze. But now, the watch was beeping. Ollie looked down at it. Ever since October, there had been a single word unchanged on the digital display. Love, her watch had said. It was her mother's final message, sent after Ollie and her friends were safe. But now the word was gone from the display, as though it had sunk in a gray sea. In its place, a word was struggling to get out. Letters and numbers writhed across the screen, but they were a blur. An S? H? Ollie couldn't read them. Mom? She whispered. She looked around the room, but of course she was alone. Her heart was beating very fast. Mom, are you there? Maybe her mom was there to give her answers after all. If only Ollie could read. What is it? For the briefest instant, a new word appeared on the watch face, then vanished as fast as it had come. The beeping stopped. Ollie shook the watch, tapped it, nothing. The word love did not come back. Neither did the other word, the new word, which Ollie had barely glimpsed. Beware. Like I said, both of these are excellent, excellent books, and I'm so excited for the next two whenever they make their appearance. Make sure that you're on the lookout for more stuff by Katherine Arden. And if you would like to put these books on hold, you can visit our website, www.emcfl.org, or call our phone line, 831-883-7555, and let me know what your favorite scary book to read this time of year is. Thank you for joining me today, and I will see you next time. Bye, everybody.